It is the middle of the summer, almost the end of the summer, as scary as that is. And I wanted to do our intergenerational pod today about the state of Meta, and I subtitled it The Summer of Reckoning.
Mhm.
There are so many news hits. There is so much going on. So I thought this would be a good time, Emma, for you and I to just share. I mean, we're both tracking different things, but let's just like, first of all, is your sense that there really is a movement rolling forward? Is that what it feels like today?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about this before on the podcast and just the Substack in general. I've been in this space and doing advocacy work kind of at the intersection of, youth empowerment and tech for about 6 years. And the speed at which things are happening now is remarkable. If you would have told me 6 years ago that we would have had, starting today a major federal trial involving 29 states it's starting in California with the social reckoning coming out in October with Meta just having gotten fined in New Mexico close to like $1 billion. I would have been shocked. So I think that we all are feeling this momentum. I think that it's really promising. And it's just exciting to continue to track all of this as it unfurls. Again, not saying that one of these things is going to, result in a positive outcome. For instance, court cases can go in either direction. You have to be realistic, and also you have to be realistic about the impact one movie can make, and also you have to be realistic about the impact legislation can make. But when it's happening all together at once, I think it's a really, really great sign that we're seeing this amount of kind of diffuse momentum.
When you and I started talking about this year in November of last year, we wrote down the phrase, "Is this our tobacco moment?"
Hmm.
And when we took that out to some of our friends and advisors, we kind of got scoffed a little bit because we were early. But if you go back and look at what happened to tobacco, it was something like this. It
Hmm.
was a combination of a series of things, no one silver bullet, but some legislation. No, there wasn't legislation in tobacco. Yes, no, there was legislation, there was a social movement. Um, I guess the thing that I'm surprised by and excited by, if you look at New Mexico, for example, it's worth saying out loud, if these are just money damages,
Hmm.
Meta can write the checks. They can drag
Hmm.
their feet, they can stall, they can. But the thing New Mexico did that's worth circling is it said changes to the product.
Hmm.
Now, Meta's going to fight that, right? They're going to go for an appeal. There's going to be an appeals court. It's going to be a different judge. Theoretically, some of that may get knocked down, but are they going to go from $1 billion in damages to $1? Doesn't feel like that.
Hmm.
Um, here, let's just I wrote a list. So this summer, June, the House passes the Kids Act. July, the court orders Meta to turn over additional documents regarding well-being. July, Meta faces another state trial in Tennessee. August, COSA moves. August, $900 million New Mexico judgment. August, 29 state federal trial. And then August 18th is a four-state youth safety trial. I mean, I mean, not to sound slightly gleeful, but it does make you think Mark's brain's got to be exploding a little bit.
Oh yeah, they definitely have to have a robust legal team to handle all of this. Um, it I think it's a really great sign. Again, I'm no lawyer. I'm surrounded by them, but I am no lawyer. I think it's a really great sign that we have kind of breached the 230 argument to some degree. I think what I was reading, and I forgot where I read it, but again, it was talking about the fact that judges are not accepting the 230 allegations when it comes to like product design, which I think we saw in the bellwether case in California in I don't know what month that was, maybe like early in the early months of 2026. So it's exciting to see this kind of legal perspective work. And I think that it also is kind of a no-brainer because like any product, when you engage in malfeasance or you hurt young people, you should be held accountable. So it's exciting to see all of this working and passing. But I think it's just the beginning because cases take a while. They're laborious. You need good lawyers on both sides. Obviously, there are appeals. So I want to be, optimistic and excited, but also note that, the big tobacco moment in quotes didn't just happen overnight. It took years and years and years of litigation and legislation and things like that.
So Congress, couple of things about Congress. Um, I confess that the difference between the Kids Act and KOSA I find baffling. I mean, I understand. I mean, I'm not a lobbyist. I didn't read the underlying, and I know that in the markup there was concern that the duty of care component was going to come out, and there was kind of a warning flare that went up 2 weeks ago within our community that they were really kind of eviscerating uh, uh, the Kids Act was meant to be a smokescreen. It seems like that didn't happen.
Hmm.
So, so I mean, nobody that I'm talking to is excited yet about where Congress is going, but cautiously optimistic, I would say. Um,
Well, I think it's hard to, well, for numerous reasons. One, the legislative process is so, I think the right word is laborious and slow, and it's meant to, especially in the Senate, it's meant to be insulated from public opinion to some degree. So I think people oftentimes get really frustrated at the pace of these things. But obviously, like we have a general understanding that this was a good piece of news. Obviously, multiple versions had circulated from in Congress, both in the House and the Senate. You have the Kids Act, you have obviously KOSA in the Senate moving, and I think that the duty of care provision for a lot of advocates and for a lot of senators was like it was top of mind and very important because it kind of created the teeth of the bill. And again, I'm no lobbyist, I'm no lawyer, but I think that it from what I've read, it's a good sign that that was preserved to some degree. And now the question is, when will it get a floor vote?
so the other thing to understand about politicians, and this comes from our friend Bradley Tusk. I mean, they act when there is an incentive for them to act or when they're pushed. And so, I sat in a dark movie theater over the weekend to watch Spider-Man, the fluffiest summer, popcorn
Mhm.
movie. And there in the coming attractions was Social Reckoning.
Hmm.
And you could feel the theater kind of go a little bit because it's like it was the most serious thing of all the trailers, which were
Hmm.
mostly running, shooting things. Um, if that trailer plays in movie theaters starting now, and
Hmm.
everyone comes back from their summer break, and Congress is sitting there looking at increasing constituency concern and growing parent anger, and
Hmm.
Mickey Sherrill, who said amazingly powerful things. This is the New Jersey governor,
Hmm.
which is just yesterday, really powerful things about the impact of social media on young people.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, I don't want to jinx it. Uh, it feels like it could turn into a broad-based movement in the
Hmm.
next 5 or 6 weeks. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, I hope so. I'm a realist. I think it depends how the movie lands. I think one of the powerful things about cinema and this movie in particular is there are in quotes movements already happening. So there's the like movement, but usually it's more, I wouldn't say extremist parents, but it's like parents who are more hyper involved. You also have TAG, the Anxious Generation movement of like parents and educators and people who are more worried about the points laid out in Haidt's book. So specifically, a lot of people in that camp believe in the bans under 16. However, there is still a large swath of people who I think fall in between those extreme points who might not want to ban, but they want to talk about social media's impact on young people. They want to mobilize around something, but they don't really know what it should be or, what's too extreme, what isn't extreme. And I think the movie could be a really, really interesting outlet for those type of people, because they could not only feel, seen and heard in their frustrations, but hopefully there are, steps to take after the movie. Like that to me is going to be the deciding factor between this, if this becomes a movement or not, is if there is, if there are action points after the movie. You can say like, support COSA or go talk with your school to get, iPhones out of school. Like there have to be action points for a movement to occur.
Um, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't
Mhm.
read the script. Interestingly enough, Frances Haugen, who's on our board of advisors and a dear friend, there was a big article about her yesterday, big profile article about her yesterday. And she said in the article, she hasn't seen the movie,
Mm,
which on one hand makes perfect sense because, the movie's still in post-production. They're shooting
yeah.
extra, but that there will, and no one wants the advance buzz to leak. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the movie's about her.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a history in Hollywood of things that are based on real people and real people feeling like it's a Hollywoodized, fictionalized version. What makes this film different is that it's based on big, big chunks of report. And
Mm-hmm.
the reporter is a character in the film, and the Wall Street Journal material is the basis of,
Mm-hmm.
and his book, Broken Code, is the basis of the script. So I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room for them to fictionalize. And
Yeah.
if they do, then Meta will have a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The other ticking question is presumably Meta has a war room set up for this movie and is planning, are they going to sue Francis? Are they going to sue the Wall Street Journal? Are they going to sue Sorkin? I mean, I kind of think they have to sue somebody. So let's do the headlines. It's now mid-September. What are we think, the thing about the big case that just started today is that's, going to be in the courts for a month and a half, 2 months. I think if it's a repeat or a version of a repeat of what happened in Los Angeles, I don't think you'll see a lot of mainstream media coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the two things we have coming as September headlines are the film's premiere and
Mm-hmm.
Congress.
Yeah.
And do people start covering those two things in a way that's attached, which would be powerful?
Yep.
Um, that being said, I mean, you've been in this fight for how many years?
6.
6 is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there have been other moments where it felt like we had the potential for some success.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand you being a little reticent to want to paint a smiley face on it.
Yeah.
That being said, I will tell you this. So I wake up in the morning, I was thinking about this. I read my news in this weird amalgam of New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I hate to admit it, but still probably X,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a bunch of, and the overall drumbeat of the social feeds that I get is now so fictionalized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people just making shit up.
Yeah.
Um, I really would like this to be the turn the corner moment where that ends or begins to change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so within your community, so let's separate it. Your friends community, which is
Mm-hmm.
not and then your, you know, social media activist community.
Mm-hmm.
What does it feel like out there?
Good question. I think my social media activist friends are all really excited, but again, realistic. I think that we have had excitement specifically around COSA before. We've had excitement around cases. But I think the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, it's all moving kind of at the same moment, in a coordinate, not, and it feels like a coordinated, giant push. I think creates more genuine excitement. So I think within my activist community, people are ready to go. We're ready to jump in, ready to mobilize more people, ready to get, get healthier screen habits in schools and in people, just in general, everyday individuals' lives, and ready to help push for legislation. Like activists are ready to go. Hopefully, we've been activated for a few years, but that activation looks larger when you have things like the social reckoning and bills passing and giant remedies and fees for Meta. Within my personal community, it hasn't reached them yet. I still think that my friends. I have a lot of friends who are like on social media breaks right now. So they either have their social medias deleted or they are like my sister just got back on Instagram after months of being off. So I think people are in the same boat, which they've been in for a few years, which is I'm frustrated and I don't really know what to do, so I'm gonna delete it or I'm gonna limit my time or I'm unhappy with the time that I spend on there. I don't know what to do. So those are the type of people that I really hope are going to be mobilized by like a social reckoning and will be, inspired to do more after seeing a film like that.
All right. Well, we will see about the 29 states case, which I think will be the news story of the next 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And then we'll dial back into social reckoning in the fall.
Beautiful.
Talk to you.